What's going on, Falcon fan? This boy Kondo come back at you with another video. So today we're gonna talk about a report from Albert Breer about Arthur Blank contemplating on going ahead and let Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith go run it back in 2024. We're definitely gonna get into that. Then we're gonna talk about the quarterback position once again, because in my eyes, I think that's pretty much the key to whatever direction this Atlanta Falcons go. We need to be able to solidify that quarterback position, try to find a franchise quarterback so we can actually start to actually get some consistency moving forward with this Atlanta Falcons organization. So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in here. We talk about, that's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, we had Victory Monday yesterday for our Atlanta Falcons. Of course, it was Christmas Day. So want to say happy holidays. Hope everybody had a good Christmas, with the family, friends, and things like that. Still for our Falcons, believe it or not, still in the playoff hunt. This could be the end this week. It depends on how other things, shape out. Even if we do win the game this weekend, of course, Atlanta Falcons still could be eliminated because we need the other teams to lose, right? That's just the way it is. We kind of sealed our fate in that Carolina Panther game with that. So Atlanta Falcons need to do their job. However, we're going to need a little help. And we can talk about that at another time. But today, just about, moving on with the franchise, what it looks like is going to be another Arthur Smith coach team going in next season. I know that's definitely not what a lot of people, especially what I have seen, really want to hear. But if that's the case, we got to see what it looked like. We're going to talk about some pros and cons into what that means for Arthur Smith coming back next year. Because there are both on both sides. I think there are some pros, believe it or not. I do think there's some pros we can look at to see why Arthur Smith would be good to come back. And there are definitely some cons, some stuff that's negative things that, in my opinion, I think he need to really look in the mirror and make some changes if he's going to, be the head coach next year. What's really interested in the article was still talking about the comment that Albert Breer was talking about, and it was on Bleach Report if you guys want to go out and look at it. But he mentioned that it was Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot. I think, in my opinion, the GM and the coach should be separate. I don't think that when you put those two guys together, I don't think they're tied together for one reason, because the head coach was hired before the general manager. So the general manager did not hire the head coach. So I don't think you can. I know they're a team, they're a pair, but when you're looking at the general manager and head coach in this instance, I don't think you should pair those guys together. So it's just interesting to see the article when they actually talked about Arthur Blank saying that he's going to come back 2024 with Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith, right? So we're going to get into like I said, the pros and cons of the day, and then at the end we'll really talk about the franchise quarterback and can the quarterback just be the answer for this team to actually fix some of the issues that we have. A consistent quarterback, somebody that we could, that take the reins over from Matty Ice, right? We haven't had that. We had Michael Vick here, for those years. Atlanta Falcons was in a good place. Of course, we know what happened with that. 2-year gap between, Michael Vick and Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan came in the next 14 seasons. Franchise quarterback was really not an issue for us. But now we're back into limbo again. And like I said, guys, I do not want to be one of those franchises every year trying to figure out what our quarterback situation is going to be and how we can actually move forward with the quarterback position. If you look in the league right now, at the way the quarterback position is being played, you look around teams, I kind of feel like we miss somewhere from our generation the good quarterbacks. It's starting to get to mediocre quarterback play. It's not a lot of good quarterbacks in the league anymore, and you can actually see that, and not just the Falcons offense, but you can see it across the league, right? This is the year of the backup quarterback. If you go, it's a lot of starting quarterbacks that are hurt. That's out right now. You see a lot of backup quarterbacks in, and to be honest with you, it's really not a lot of good football being played from an offensive standpoint, right? Except for a few teams, you can see good quarterback play, and in some instances, you see quarterbacks that do a good job to manage their teams, and they're capable of taking their teams, to have winning seasons, but they're not elite quarterbacks anymore, and it's not a whole bunch of elite quarterbacks in the league anymore. And that's where we're at. And so the quarterback position, in my opinion, has gone down over the years. Some of the great quarterbacks have retired out, and the transition to different type of quarterback is coming in. We see that taking place with the more mobile quarterbacks, the more off schedule plays, things like that. Play people that can go out and make plays for their teams when things that breaks down, from an O-line standpoint, from a off schedule standpoint, and those are some quarterbacks out there that are elite, and we can talk about a couple of those. What's going on, Wallace? So Wallace says here, I think we need to win at least 2 games to stay in the hunt for the playoff spot. You are correct. We need to win our games, but looking at report, we still need the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams, or Seattle Seahawks or the Los Angeles Rams to lose as well. So that's where we're at. We need those teams to help us out. They need to lose. So if they don't lose, I think they might need to lose their next 2 games, because they have the better record from a NFC standpoint. If you're looking at, I think both of their teams are 6-4 in the NFC. We are 4-6 in the NFC. So even if we're tied with those guys going on the end of the season, they would get the nod over us. Of course, to win NFC South, we got to win both games. The Buccaneers have to lose both of their games. That's the way to get NFC South. So our key in probably would be the wild card spot. And if you're looking at that, of course, you need the Seattle Seahawks. They play the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend, and in their last game, they played the Arizona Cardinals. So both of those games, they could definitely lose those games, but it doesn't matter. The Falcons need to go out and do their job. So we do need to win out these last 2 games to keep our playoff hopes alive. And to be honest with you guys, it could end this weekend, even if we get that win. So I can't never remember when the GM is hired and and the head coach is always the owner's hiring the head coach or the GM. Exactly. It was a weird situation. But of course, they hired Arthur Smith first, then they went and hired the GM. So I don't think there should be tied at all. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute when I talk about the pros and cons of the of running it back. So when I say run it back, I mean bringing this whole regime back, right? The coaching staff, Terry Fontenot, and Arthur Smith for another season, 2024 season. And let's get into the pros first, right? Because I want to start off on a positive note before we get into things that's been negative for this Atlanta Falcon team for us this season, right? So the pros are the roster. I think the roster is really, really good. I think the salary cap, the way it's set up, is really set up for the future. It's set up for now and it's set up for the future. So the roster in itself is in a good place. It really is. If you look at going back from 2021 and to now, when this regime came in, they really have transformed this roster all the way around. And it's a really good roster. It's a mixture of rosters. Have a lot of young talent. If you look at our young guys that's been playing well at the end of the season, especially some of our draft picks like Clark Phillips, Zach Harrison, DeMarco Helms, all those guys are rookies, and they're contributing a lot to this Falcon team towards the end of the season. If you look at guys like Nate Landman, right? Guy came in, undrafted guy. We talked about Troy Anderson coming back, and Nate Landman is going to have something to say about that, getting that starting position back. So the roster in itself, I think is really good. That's really a pro, and you have to tip your head off to both, both guys, Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot for that because, of course, they did a lot of collaboration. Terry Fontenot has a good scouting department, especially on the pro side. If you look at, and that's his background coming from the New Orleans organization. But that scouting department, put together by Terry Fontenot, and of course the collaboration with the coaching staff has did a great job of bringing in this roster. Right, you look at guys like Jesse Bates. That was, to my opinion, was the steal of the off season from a free agency standpoint. Um, we all wanted him. We talked about him. He came in and he's everything that's advertised, bringing him in. Getting Calais Campbell in, I thought was really big. I hope they can bring Calais Campbell back as well, because I like his veteran leadership, and he still is productive. He still can play. So those are some. That's just one of the pros you're looking at. You looking at this roster, and you looking at the youth around this roster in itself. It's really it's just it's talent everywhere, right? That's that's one of the pros you can look. This is a really talented roster, and you know, a bounce here, a bounce there. Some games we can really make some noise in the playoff. We know Jesse Bates said it. Nobody want to see this Atlanta Falcon team in the playoffs, and one of the reasons is the second pro that I'm talking about is that defense. That defense is really good, right? We cannot say anything that we've seen in a long time from our defense. This defense is top 10 defense. It's been a top 10 defense all season long. Atlanta Falcons just gave up their first rushing touchdown this past game to Jonathan Taylor, right? Think about that. Think about that. When the last time you could say that this Atlanta Falcons team gave up a rushing touchdown in week 16, right? The first rushing touchdown in week 16. That speaks volumes to this defense. So, kudos to that about bringing in Arthur Smith, bringing in Ryan Nielsen, hiring him. The job he has done with Steven Jackson and our other coach, bringing both of those guys in. All right, you have to like what you've seen from the defensive standpoint. And my fears for that is one of the pros is if you get rid of the coach, what that means about our defensive staff, right? I love the way our defense have played. So those are some that's just the pros that we got on the defensive side of the ball. Talk about acquisitions, talk about the young talent. We haven't even went to the offensive side of the ball. It's a young talent and roster. You look at our 3 first-round picks that we got over the last 3 seasons. They all can play, right? None of those guys are bust, right? We haven't seen the production we want to see from those guys, but from what we can see, if they get the ball in their hand, they're really good and they can be really special in the years to come. And where they came in, right? The contracts will line up perfectly for them, right? We don't have to pay everybody right away. You can set the salary cap up and make it work for keeping that young group of weapons together, and Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson. So I love that good guard that we drafted in the second round this year. Matthew Bergeron looks like he's going to pay dividends. We already paid Chris Lindstrom. Look like he's still back to the self he was before he got that big contract last year. So these are some of the things that just looking at this roster and looking at how this defense has played, those are some pros, guys. That's what you can look. And we have to look at that. We are disappointed. And we should be, because I just talked about how talented this roster is, and we want to see some change. But if you're looking at it from a micro standpoint, not a macro, right? Because you're looking at this from just looking from this season and how disappointing we is this season. We look at it from 2021 to now, from a roster standpoint, how the salary cap set up. Those are some pros, right? And if you're the owner, you're going to look at that, because you're going to look at where we were in 2021 and you're gonna look at where we are now, or where we are now from a roster standpoint and the salary standpoint, right? That's what I'm talking about. So let's see what Wallace says here, and then we get into some cons, because there are some cons. So I kind of got you guys, feeling good about the team, but we're gonna talk about some bad stuff. I know that some of us said want Arthur Smith gone, but I think it would be wise to get Arthur Smith one more season to get it right, so that we don't get a big turnover and start over with new head coach and staff. That's Wallace. That's exactly my point. Because of the things that I talked about, the good success we have had, that we have shown, we wasn't a dumpster fire this year. We was not. We were not a dumpster fire this year. Yes, we did not live up to expectations, and that's what I'm gonna talk about right now. We talk about the cons, but overall, if you look at this team was competitive. Another pro before we get into the cons is the fact that Arthur Smith did not lose the locker room. He did not. These guys still going out playing hard for him, and that's one of the signs already when you look at a team. If the coach lose the locker room, more times out of 10, he's going to be out the door. You can see it. Go back and look at the Raiders game when go back and look at that Chargers game when the Raiders put 45 points up on that Chargers team. He had lost the locker room. There's no way professional guys go out and give up 45 points in the first half. They had quit on him. You could see it. They was done with Staley, and they was ready for him to be out the door. We can't say that about Arthur Smith. We just can't. That has not been the case. These guys going out, they're playing harder they can. They're competing every week. So that's another pros. He has not lost the locker room, and that's another thing that Arthur Blank has to take in consideration. All right, let's get into some cons, Doc. There are cons out there, no doubt about it. And the first thing is I talked about is we didn't live up to expectation this year. We underachieved big time. It's no doubt about it. We underachieved big time, and it's particularly it's on the offensive side of the ball, and that's the head coach. That's Arthur Smith, Colin Card. He's the offensive play caller, and he just didn't perform well this year. The reason why the Atlanta Falcons is not in the playoffs is because of the offense. It's 100% because of the offense. There's no other way to look at that, right? Now, what's the reason for that, right? The first reason is, Arthur Smith, and you can go back to the owner and the GM. They all signed their name with Desmond Ridder to start the season, right? That's where we started. We started there, right? So, and this was supposed to be the season to determine what Desmond Ridder going to be the guy or not, right? The contract situation is really good for him. It's no doubt about it. Having a guy for 2 more years, $1 million on the salary cap it's a really smart thing to see for a team, especially if you're a young quarterback can actually deliver the goods like you wanted him to, right? Because you go back and look at that Seattle Seahawks team when they had a young Russell Wilson, right? That's how they build up the Legion of Boom, right? Went to 2 Super Bowls, should have won 2, right? If they get a ball to Marshawn Lynch there, they win both of those Super Bowls. 2 Super Bowls, that would be a successful thing to do with a young quarterback, right? Of course, what happens? Eventually they have to pay the quarterback. The Legion of Boom, it breaks up. It's no more, the team that it was, and history is where it's at now with the Seattle Seahawks. But you go back and look at that young team, had a young quarterback on a really good salary, right? And they built the team up. That's the formula that the Atlanta Falcons tried, right? They tried that, right? So, they put all they chips in on Desmond Ridder, right? And let's be honest, it just didn't pan out. That's where the where it fell apart. That's where it really fell apart. We expected the offense to progress, but it regressed. and it regressed. I can't believe I'm saying it, but the offense looked better with Mark Smarter last year than it looked this year. It just did. Um, we had an identity last year. We had an identity who was able to run the ball, right? You think you get Bijan with a more explosive player to add to their running game, and none of that took place this year. It was so lethargic all season for Arthur Smith and his quarterbacks, um, Taylor Heineke and Rick Desmond Ritter, right? So, in the end of the day, they failed. They failed from an offensive standpoint. They failed the team. Um, they didn't live up to the expectations, and that's the reason why the Atlanta Falcons need help. These last 2 weeks to get into the playoffs because of the regression on the offensive side of the ball. It's no other way to look at it. And Arthur Smith has to take all the blame for that, right? He picked the quarterback. He called the plays. He did the schemes, put the game plan together all week. Every week, him and Day were gone, and they didn't deliver, right? They let the team down from an offensive standpoint this season. There's no other way to look around it. If you don't know who you want to put the most of the blame on, you can put it, a lot of blame on the quarterback, you put a lot of blame on the coach, but he's the head coach. He's the offensive mind. He's the one putting the game plans together. He's going to take all the blame. So if that's a reason for him to lose his job this season, nobody would complain about that because the offense regressed and the expectation was here for this Atlanta Falcon team. The defense delivered. They delivered from a roster standpoint. They built this team to be competitive, to play and play complementary football on both sides of the ball, and the offense just did not deliver, right? So that's the biggest con, right? The play calls was not there. The quarterback play was not there. We had no identity at all, and this is where we're at. Arthur Smith has to Arthur Blank has to take that and all in and decide, bringing back Arthur Smith, right? What's going to be different? That's what he has to take from offense standpoint. Now, we just talked about all the pros. Wallace mentioned, creating new staff. I don't think nobody wants that. We don't want a whole new staff to come in here. Right? And people saying just move guys around. You could do that, right? You can get rid of Smith and bring in, put Ryan Nielsen up there to be the head coach, whatever. But that's where Arthur Blank has to decide that's what he want to do, right? But whatever happens, right? If Arthur Smith does come back, he has to make changes. I think it's important. I think it's no other way for him to try to say we're gonna, take this same staff, we're gonna take this same quarterback, we're gonna take all this and run it back and think something's gonna change. It's not. We've seen it, and as fans, as a fan base, hopefully as an owner, you're gonna tell him no. If you are coming back, we need to make changes. And he don't have to tell him what changes he need to make, but he needs to make changes. We need to see how you're going to fix this disaster of a season for our offense, right? You go into Carolina, must-win game, you put up 7 points, right? There's no excuse for that whatsoever, right? I can say this. Arthur Smith is not to blame for all those damn turnovers, man. That's the quarterback, right? Those critical turnovers in games killed us a lot, right? Arthur Smith to blame for putting the ball in the young quarterback's hand, but that's why Desmond Ritter is not the guy, because Desmond Ritter didn't live up to it, right? They gave him opportunities. People upset because he benched him again. Well, he brought him back because he wanted to give the young man a chance. and he blew it again. So in my opinion, Desmond Ridder is a good backup quarterback. He's not the franchise quarterback, and everybody, not just fans, but on the outside looking in, I think everybody now knows that one of the issues that Atlanta Falcon has to address next season is going out and finding the quarterback, right? So that could be his ace in the hole because he does not have a quarterback. And I know people like Desmond Ridder. I like him too, but he's not the guy. Desmond Ridder does not do anything spectacular. Can anybody tell me what Desmond Ridder do well? What does he do well? Like great, right? He's an average quarterback, right? And I don't know about you. I don't want an average quarterback for our franchise quarterback, especially in today's NFL, right? You might can use that in the past, but the quarterbacks today, they're different. Go around and look, right? The elite quarterbacks, they're different types of quarterbacks. It's not that many in the league today. It's not. I'm gonna just tell you that it's not a lot of elite quarterbacks in the league, but Atlanta Falcons definitely need to go out and find one. Wallace said they gave Ridder a chance. He failed. So now they have to draft a quarterback in the first round. This upcoming draft and get rid of Ragon as OC and bring in the OC with more creative play calling. That's the answer. Wallace, I couldn't have said it better. That's exactly how I feel about this whole thing, right? If Archie Smith's coming back, I'm sorry, Dave Ragon's gonna be the scapegoat. He's the OC, the offensive coordinator. He got to go. They let Steve Sarkisian go, and we went to the divisional playoff round. Think about it. Steve Sarkisian got let go, and we went to divisional playoff round. And if Julio catch the ball in the back of the end zone and get his feet down, right, we're going to the NFC Championship game on back-to-back seasons. So that's really the truth. That's what happened. And they let Steve Sarkisian go. They were going don't even call plays. He the OC. What does he bring to the team, right? He was acting quarterback coach. Our quarterbacks not playing up to snuff. So what does Dave Ragon bring to the team? He got to be the scapegoat if Arthur Smith is still here in 2024. Dave Ragon got to go. Good friend. I know he like, yeah, buddy, but you got to get up out of here. If Arthur Blank decide to save you, you gotta let your buddy go, man. That's just the nature of the beast. I think Arthur Smith's still our coach. He's going to make some changes to improve the team between getting a new OC, drafting the quarterback. Drafting the quarterback. Some fans want Fields. It's not the answer for our team. It's interesting about Justin Fields, and to be honest with you, Wallace, I kind of agree with you on that. I agree about Fields, but believe it or not, he's starting to grow on me just a little bit. I don't know why. I'll be honest with you, he hasn't really had any consistency. He's probably in the same boat with Justin Fields. I mean, with Desmond Ridder, but he's starting to grow on me a little bit. And in just a minute, we'll talk about the quarterback position and franchise quarterbacks and things like that. And I'll explain to you why he Justin Fields kind of starting to grow on me. And just because, just watching the NFL, landscape of the quarterback play and things like that is the reason why Justin Fields kind of starting to grow on me. But good point. A lot of fans want Fields. And honestly, they should draft a quarterback and trade for Justin Fields. Right? Do both. Do both. I mean, it'll be going his fourth year. Now, if you decide to pick up a fifth year option, you can do that. Or you could just say this your 1 year tryout. That means if you trade him, for maybe a fifth round, fourth round, something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure what you're trading for. But now if you're trading for a higher pick, you're saying that he's going to compete for the starting quarterback job. But trade for Justin Fields and draft a quarterback. My opinion, do whatever you need to do, but you need to find your guy. He said Ricardo Ragon is setting up as the plays as Arthur Smith called these plays because their calling is not what Arthur Smith ran with the Titans. See, that's what we need. We need that kind of information, man. We really do need that kind of information. That's what we need to know. Who's putting the game plans together? Is it Arthur Smith or is it Dave Ragon, right? That's a great point, man. I'm curious. How much input does Dave Ragon actually have? In this offense, and is he the reason why it just doesn't look like what Arthur Smith did in Tennessee? That's a great point. I'm curious to know this, and I wish we had more insight on that to determine, how much input and how much influence they were going to actually have in this offense, right? Not and people out, in YouTube universe and stuff like that. Don't get it twisted. I'm not giving Arthur Smith a pass, right? Because people like, oh, you trying to make excuses? No, I'm not making excuses. Wallace not trying to make excuses for Arthur Smith. We're just saying, as the offensive coordinator, what does he do? I'm just curious. What does he do? He said, you disagree with drafting the quarterback and bringing the Justin Fields too. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's just a wild thought, man. A wild thought. Yeah, that would be crazy. But if you get Justin Fields for like a 5th round pick, bring him in, man. Like, why not make it a great quarterback come? I know it'll create chaos here, with the fan base, but I mean, they got to find the guy. They got to find the guy. So, guys, just to end off on the pros and cons, those are some good things, some bad things about this team. The pros is this roster is really good. It's young. It got a lot of potential. The cons is the offense just let us down this year, and we didn't live up to expectations. Nowhere near it. And it was a complete failure from the offensive standpoint. And Arthur Smith is the head of snake of the offense. So those is where if he's let go, he has no one to blame but himself, right? Because he picked the quarterback and he ran the offense all season. All right, guys, let's go into my next point, and I'm really passionate about this topic, and because just looking around the league, right, and you trying to win, the key for any team is trying to win the Super Bowl. The key for any team to try to win the Super Bowl. And you go back to some teams that won it, right, and you say, who was they sitting in the car? So we go back to the 2000 Ravens, right? Trent Dilfer, right? Didn't have to do a whole lot because they had one of the most historic defenses ever, to be in the season is that 2000 Baltimore Ravens defense, right? Those guys was lights out, right? You probably putting up 10 points that game, right? So Trent Dilfer did not have to do a lot, right? That you go look at a guy like Rich Gannon, right? Won the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, it's not a lot of quarterbacks that you can think of that wasn't really talented that won Super Bowl, right? You can go to Eli Manning, maybe, right? Eli Manning beat Brady twice. Can you believe that? Beat Brady twice. But his 2 Super Bowls, he played really well, but he's not an elite, quarterback. He just had a great playoff run. Joe Flacco is another guy that had a great playoff run, right? But for the most part, guys, you go off and look at teams and you look at their consistency, and they year in and year out, they're in, Super Bowl contention, they're in playoff contention because they have a franchise quarterback, right? A lot of teams, you just know that they got a chance every year. Every year you go in, you look at Signet Caller, you be like, yeah, we got a chance to win that thing, right? We thought that with Matt, right? But our team just was never built to help Matt succeed, right? I think he was a good franchise quarterback, but our team, and we have to blame the last regime for that. Thomas Dimitrov and the way he built this team, he built it heavily on offense. It was an offensive juggernaut, but our defense stayed in the bottom, half of the league for all those years, and we could never do anything. We could never stop anybody, right? And that's why we could never win, right? It was a not a well put together roster during the Matt Ryan, years. Maybe started off earlier with when we had Mike Smith there, right? Those teams were a little bit more balanced, right? We had a good running attack, and the defense was solid. But especially when we got in the Dan Quinn years, Dan Quinn staple was supposed to be defense, right? Bringing that Legion of Boom type of defense to the Atlanta Falcons, but during his tenure, we only had a top 10 defense once, and that wasn't even in our Super Bowl year, right? So that was the 2017 year. We had a pretty good defense that year, but other than that, the defense was always in the bottom half. Offense was explosive, able to put up points. I mean, we lost games 35-42 in those seasons because our defense was so poor. So those are some of the things that, when we talk about franchise quarterbacks, that's, for me, I think that's the only way you're going to be able to sustain success over a long period of time. You will find, a guy that has a great run and take you there one time, right? But I'm talking about sustainment. I'm talking about consistency year in and year out. We want our team to be playing for, getting in the playoffs, having an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. And we need that franchise quarterback to do that. And right now, the Atlanta Falcons do not, right? And I think about guys, you think about, if you watch football this weekend, you saw some good quarterback play, you saw some bad quarterback play, right? But, everybody want to talk about what we seen yesterday on Monday Night Football, last night, looking at Lamar Jackson, right? And let's go ahead, let's for the last time, let's go ahead and dispel the facts about Lamar Jackson. The Atlanta Falcons never had a chance to get Lamar Jackson. They never had a chance. The Baltimore Ravens was not letting him go, right? Yes, the Atlanta Falcons could have gave him an offer, right? But when they gave him an offer, they was going to tire their cap until the Ravens had a chance to match it, right? That's the beginning of free agency, right? So we're going to top our salary cap until, and I think they had like 48 hours to match it. In that 48-hour period, we lose guys, right? We might lose Jesse Bates waiting on Lamar Jackson, waiting on the Baltimore Ravens to match it because they was going to match it, right? They wanted somebody else to do their work for them, to come up with a contract, that Lamar would sign, and then they were just going to match it. That's where it was going to be. If they did match it, we was going to have to give up draft picks, right? We was going to have to give up first and second round draft picks, even if they didn't match it, right? So, and then we would have to pay Lamar Jackson that big salary, and this defense that we're talking about, it wasn't ever got created, right? So that's just the nature of the beast. So we really have to dispel that rumor that the Atlanta Falcons actually had a chance to get Lamar Jackson. They really never did, right? They put an exclusive franchise tag on him. When it's mean exclusive, they can match any deal. That's what they did. And they wanted people to go out, and because they couldn't come up with an agreement with Lamar, so they wanted another franchise to do it for them, right? And no franchise would want to play that. That's the reason why that went down the way it did, right? And we got all this criticism for all these different franchises. The Falcons were the first one to say it because they knew the situation that when you have a quarterback like that young and that dynamic, you're not gonna let him go. And they didn't. That's what happened. So we need to just go ahead and dispel that Atlanta Falcons never had an opportunity to get Lamar Jackson. We just need to stop that. They didn't. Go look at the facts, right? I know media want to look at it and make it seem like that way, that they didn't want Lamar. It's not true. They didn't have a chance, and that's the honest truth, right? That's the really reality of it. It sounds good to say the Atlanta Falcons put in an offer sheet for Lamar Jackson. Then we lost guys like Jesse Bates. We lost guys. We would have really been upset about that, because we wouldn't have got him anyway, and then would have lost some of our key free agents. So I just wanted to put that on. But he's one of the guys. He's a franchise guy. Man, we could find a guy like Lamar Jackson. That would be awesome, right? All right. Patrick Mahomes, he's one of those guys, right? You look at his team now. He has nothing, but he still go out and make plays. They're down right now, but the guy is amazing. He's a franchise quarterback. Joe Burrow. Say what y'all want to say about Joe Burrow. That boy can play. He can play. He's fearless. He's cool. He's collective. He has it. And there's probably one other guy in the league that I'm going to go out and put out there, and that's Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he's unpredictable. He's turnover prone, but he's fearless. He make plays. He make plays a lot of people can't make. Those kind of guys that the Atlanta Falcons. That's the Atlanta Falcons. When you're looking at a guy that we want for the Atlanta Falcons, those four guys comes to mind to me. Those are the four guys I'm looking for, right? So when I say that, that's why I said Justin Fields may be growing on me. Not because he have shown any of that, but he have shown flashes of some of those things that a Lamar Jackson, that a Patrick Mahomes can do, right? It's not consistent. He's Desmond Ridder 2.0. I agree with you guys. He's been in the league longer than Desmond Ridder. So it would really be, a gamble to go out and get a guy like Justin Fields. But he has the talent. He has the God-gifted talent. Let me just say it that way. To maybe be dynamic. We don't know, right? The reason why I mentioned going out and getting him, still drafted, because you're taking a chance, right? And I said this about 2 weeks ago. The Atlanta Falcons need to do this. They need to take a chance. They need to make a splash somehow, right? And stop being scared, right? Take a chance on something, on somebody, on something, and see what happens. That's why I said that's what I meant about taking a chance on Justin Fields. Don't overpay for him, right? If you can get it for cheap, do it, right? But maybe it was his situation. Sometimes players get in certain situations that just don't pan out for them, right? The same thing could be for Desmond Ridder. Maybe this is not the situation for Desmond Ridder. For what I see, he's not the guy for Atlanta, right? He's a good backup, but he's not an Atlanta guy, right? Could be the same thing for Justin Fields. He might not be Chicago guy. He could be Atlanta guy, right? Not saying that that's the road the Atlanta Falcons should go down, but what I'm telling you is that the Atlanta Falcons need to go get a player that's going to make plays, right? It's interesting. Cam Newton got criticized for some of the things he was saying when he was talking about elite and game manager, when he was talking about players and things, and everybody kind of thought he was crazy. But then when you think about it, he had a point. He had a great point when he mentioned about the elite and the game managers and things like that, right? Because what we seen from Lamar and what we see from Patrick Mahomes weekly, and we see from what Joe Burrow does, and we see some of the things that Josh Allen does, and sometimes we see what Jalen Hurts do, right? Some of the plays they make, Jalen Hurts kind of regressed a little bit this season, but some of the plays those guys make, right? You can't teach that, right? That's unscripted. That's going out making plays, and making things happen. Things that we seen from, everybody favorite Atlanta quarterback, Michael Vick, right? Back in the day, stuff that you can't teach, right? Stuff that when he's trying to scheme up for this guy, you don't scheme for that because you don't expect that to happen, right? That's what we need here, right? The Atlanta Falcons need this. They need to take a chance, right? Desmond Ridder, don't do any of that. He's gonna scare the shit out you for the most part, because every time he went back for a drop back, I thought he was gonna turn it over. To just be honest with you, that's where he got us feeling, throughout the season, right? But he's a solid player, but he's not gonna do anything dynamic for you, right? He's not gonna win games for you. That's not who he is. That's what Atlanta Falcons need. They need a franchise guy, and it's the new NFL. That's what I'm saying it for, because that's the way the NFL is going. For years and years and years, the NFL's drop back quarterbacks, guys are going to stay in the pocket, read defenses, make the right throws, timing throws, ball. The game has changed. We need guys that's going to go out and make plays, right? Make plays that other guys can't make, because the defenses are so good. They're getting bigger, faster, stronger on defense. You need guys to go out and do things that the defense don't expect. The plays that defense can't scheme for, they can't get ready for. That's what the Atlanta Falcons need, and that's what I'm talking about. So I'm not talking about going out and getting a Ryan Tannehill. Right? That's been done. No, we don't want Ryan Tannehill. We don't want Kirk Cousins. I know everybody's saying Arthur Smith's going to be here. He need a veteran quarterback. No. Go out and draft a rookie guy. Go get you a dynamic rookie guy, right? Somebody that can make plays. And it's a gamble, because we never know how these guys are going to turn out. You never know, how well one of these rookies going to translate their game into the pros, right? You look at a guy like Jalen Daniels. The numbers he put up in college was like video game numbers, where they was amazing, right? But can that translate to the pros? We don't know. Right? Caleb Williams, the things Caleb Williams either do, he already been, been looked at as another Patrick Mahomes. The plays he make, the way he throw the ball, sidearm, things like a Matthew Stafford, right? Things like that. Things that other quarterbacks can't do, like a Aaron Rodgers, right? Put it on the dime, right? Those guys, those are kind of guys that the Atlanta Falcons need to be looking for. And maybe it doesn't pan out, but at least we can say that Atlanta Falcons went out and tried to do it. At least we can say that Atlanta Falcons went out and tried to make something happen, right? We need a franchise quarterback. If we don't get one, we're going to be like the Browns were all those years. We're going to be like the Jets are now. Had to go out and get a 39-year quarterback to come in and try to give the Super Bowl hopes, and get hurts in, the first 4 plays of the game. All right. So you go get a Ryan Tannehill, you go get a Kirk Cousins. You're just putting yourself back, because you're going to have to go out and find a young guy anyway. Those guys are on the tail end of their career. We don't want those guys. I don't want those guys. I don't know about you guys. I don't want a veteran quarterback. I want to start young, and we want to have another 14 years with a franchise quarterback like we had with Matty Ice. That's what I want, right? That's the importance. He's not on the team right now. I know people thinking that Des Ritter maybe can. No, he's not. He's not that guy. We've seen enough. We've seen enough sample size, right? Too turnover prone, too hesitant, too inaccurate. Just not going to make the plays we need to make. Taylor Heineke, he's not the guy. He threw the ball. He played well on Sunday, but I don't know how many passes he threw late. Definitely put the ball in harm's way once again. He's a great backup quarterback as well. Those are the guys that we got on this team. They're not the future. Atlanta Falcons need to go out and find a future quarterback. If Arthur Smith, Terry Fontenot is back next year for 2024, that needs to be their mission. They need to go out and they need to make sure they get a pass rusher, right? That should be 1A, 1B. It's the pass rusher. And then they need to find a quarterback, right? They need to find a quarterback that they believe, right? And that's all you got to do. If you believe one of these guys or your guy, you got to have conviction. Everybody got to believe. They need to make sure they do their homework, right? Do their homework, right? Don't pull a Zach Wilson. Don't look at a guy that really wasn't that good in college, and then you say he's gonna be the guy. You know, and you had hope in Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter played all those games as a winner and things like that, but in reality, he just not that guy. He's just not, man. And I like Desmond Ritter a lot. I love his leadership. Um, I do I like a lot of stuff about Desmond Ritter, but um, he's just not the guy for us. He can't get it done. And personally, I have moved on from that fantasy that he could be. I have seen enough. Right, it's too many critical turnovers. I mean, he's the reason why we're in this position now. Those turnovers just killed us, man. All through the season, you go back to that Commanders game. Those turnovers in the red zone just killer, right? The turnovers in the Jacksonville game was a killer. That terrible turnover in that Carolina game was a killer, right? Those are games we should have won. We should have won those games, right? We should have won those games, but too many critical turnovers. And yes, he's a young quarterback. He's a rookie, but whatever. I've seen enough, right? You can't make those plays, no matter how long you've been in the league. That was Brad Johnson. You correct. That was Brad Johnson with the Bucks. Rich Gannon with the Raiders. Thanks for correcting me there, Wallace. Rich Gannon was Raiders. Brad Johnson was with the Bucks. You are correct. Even though I'm disappointed with Arthur Smith, I still feel he is a few steps from being a much better coach. We have to see, man. Time will tell. Like I think for me, this was the first season I was disappointed in him. Right, I defended. If you go back and look at film, look at my videos, I defended Arthur Smith so many times, but he really disappointed me this year. The way this season went, and most of it just on him because the offense just was trash, man. That's where it really boils down to. I've been saying it too. The Baltimore's never gonna let Lamar get out of the building. He didn't want to leave. Exactly, man. It's just ridiculous that people thought that they was gonna let Lamar go. Are you going to get the personnel for the quarterback development? I'll just say you have to. You have to get your quarterback coach. And the reason I say that because I don't think Arthur Smith is really good with rookie quarterbacks. That's what a lot of people are saying. That's why people think we should go get a veteran, right? Because they think he work better with veteran quarterbacks. Because some people say his scheme is kind of difficult to learn and things like that. And I can see that, but if you go get a good quarterback guy, and honestly, man, get a guy like Mike McDaniels. I know some people don't like him, but that New England offense was really good. And they had Tom Brady, don't get me wrong, but go look back what he did with Matt Jones his first season. Matt Jones got to the playoffs his first season, rookie season. So, it's some guys you can bring in. Go get an Eric Bieniemy who's gonna be hard, who's gonna be tough, right? He ain't gonna take no crap, right? That's who you want, right? A guy like Eric Bieniemy, bring him in. It's gonna be hard on everybody. You heard the Commander players complaining about how hard of a coach he was, right? He's a no nonsense coach. He's not gonna put up with crap, right? You're gonna tell guys, Desmond Ritter, why the fuck you throw that pass? That was a dumbass pass, man. What you doing, right? It's no time to. It's you grown ass men. It's no time to be nice with them and and cuddle them and things like that. You got to be tough with them. So get a guy like Eric Bieniemy, right? I don't know, but once we get a clear picture that he is coming back, right? Because if we and I think it still depends on these next two games. I don't see them going out just playing like crap the next two games, but it's still to be determined if they're gonna win the next two games because you don't know what offense is going to show up. If the offense show up from this past Sunday, they got a good chance to win, right? Don't turn over the ball, play good, solid, complementary ball with your special teams and defense. They can come away with a win in Chicago, right? The next two teams they're playing got losing records, so it's not like beyond the pale that they can actually go out and get a win. But that needs to be determined. But so when we get a clear picture here towards the end of the season, we can start getting more clarity of what the Atlanta Falcons are going to do. They have to make changes. It's no other way. You can't have this kind of performance, on one side of the ball. You already seen it, right? You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, their Nimitz offense, they let their offensive coordinator go. The Buffalo Bills, they let their offensive coordinator go, right? The Panthers already let their head coach go. So the Chargers already let their head. You see it like when you don't succeed in your job and you the head man of that job, right? You're gonna be let go, or it got to be changes made. It's just the way it is, right? Arthur Smith has not, got enough, time like a Mike Tomlin to say I'm just gonna change my offensive coordinator, or the head coach, in Buffalo to say I'm just gonna change my offensive coordinator. No, right? You've only been in the league 3 years. You know who other quarterbacks, other coaches that came in 3 years? Now, some other coaches that came in, and you're going to be judged by your peers. You look at what Dan Campbell was able to do with the Detroit Lions. Now, in my opinion, they already got a quarterback. That's the difference. They have a quarterback, right? So we can't look at that team and look at our team really in the same, because the quarterback position kind of settled there. It's got a veteran guy there that's playing really well, right? Look at the Jets, Robert Saleh, right? Around that same time, Arthur Smith, he never had a quarterback. That's why he's safe. They're not talking about firing him. His offense has looked terrible. It has looked really bad, right? Because they didn't even have a backup plan for if Aaron Rodgers did go down, right? So let's be honest. Atlanta Falcons don't have the worst offense in the league, right? It's just the expectations we have for this offense with all these weapons we have. It just ain't lived up to it, man. And until we get that franchise quarterback in, I don't know who the coach going to be, because you can't coach guys for not making dumb mistakes, right? Let's just say every play that Arthur Smith called was stupid and dumb. If the quarterback don't throw the ball to the other team, don't fumble the ball, get a ball in turnovers and critical plays, we don't lose some of those games. That's just the nature of the beast, man. Like you have the ball in your hand every play. You can't make mistakes, right? Look what Brock Purdy did last night. It killed his MVP chances. 4 turnovers, right? That team that's not a bad team. Think about it. They had 3 turnovers and it was still 16-14. That's how good the San Francisco 49er team is. 3 turnovers and it was still 16-14, right? And then of course it snowballed after that, but that just tell you how good the 49ers team is. It tells you that sometimes when you make mistakes, you don't have a chance to win, right? And we just made too many mistakes on this offense this year, right? And you compound that with no identity, running game is not where it was the year before. all these turnovers. We -5 in turnover ratio this year, -5. And if you go back and look in history, you go look at teams that's negative. You kind of look at their record, and it kind of lines up to the reason why you don't have success you want, right? That's what it boils down to. So, guys, that's it for me. It's definitely gonna be interesting to see what direction they go in for the quarterback position. I have said my piece. I think they need to go in the draft, right? And I don't care if they have to move up to get in, right? If you got your guy, you need to move up and get your guy, unless he just fall in your lap, right? If you got two guys, that means you don't have a guy. That scares me. We'll take this guy or this guy. No, if you got two guys, you don't have a guy, right? I mean, if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback, right? So you have to have your guy, and if you convince and convicted, that that's your guy, you need to go get your guy, right? I don't know who it is. I'm not saying it. People saying JJ McCarthy. I'm saying if the Atlanta Falcons draft JJ McCarthy, I think we all might riot, right? I don't think he's the guy. Bo Nix is not the guy. I'm sorry to tell you guys, Bo Nix is not the guy, right? The other guys, I'm kind of, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Penix Jr., any of those guys, and I don't know who's the guy. I haven't looked at their film well enough to tell you right now who I think would be the best guy for the Atlanta Falcons. But that's their job. They need to go out and do their homework, make sure that they do their due diligence and bring in the right guy for this team. We do know that they can actually put even more pieces around whoever they bring in at quarterback this next season. We do know that. So once the Atlanta Falcons decide, the fate of old Art Smith, right, then they can start making plans for the draft, free agency. Of course, they got to sign some guys. I think AJ Terrell is due up for a big contract here soon. I really wish they can bring some of these guys back that they had on the roster this year, like a Calais Campbell. Even a guy like Bud Dupree. I thought Bud Dupree has really played well this year as well. But you like what you've seen from our young guys in the Army Ebiketie. You like what you're seeing Zach Harrison. Like you're seeing in Clark Phillips. You like you're seeing DeMarco Helms, right? You've seen guys on this roster that you can say, okay, even the guys they brought in, like a Dave Yada, like a Caden Ellis, right? What can we say about Jesse Bates? So I love everything that this team did from a roster standpoint. They just didn't live up to it, man. They let all us down. And that's why we're having this conversation today about Arthur Smith, potentially being let go at the end of the season and what we're going to do with our quarterback position. Because if we was in a playoff run right now, we had the playoffs locked up, NFC South locked up, we wouldn't even be talking about a quarterback right now. Just be honest. We'd be like, that's really our guy. But they gave him his opportunity twice. People say he screwed him. No, he gave him his opportunity twice, and he blew it. That last pass he threw in Carolina, he blew it with that pass. That's just simply as that. Wallace said, I think Jalen Daniel is the guy. I like Jalen Daniels a lot, man. I agree with you. He need to put some weight on. I think he's, kind of need to put some weight on, man. But he really put on the show this season. So, EQ says, Playoffs. I just wanted to complete a pass. Yeah, man. Playoffs. Yeah, man. Like, yeah, playoffs over. It's over. Like I said, the season's over. Now, mathematically, it's not over. Mathematically, it's not over. It's mathematically it's not over. We still got opportunity. Now, after this week, even if the Falcons win, it could be over. So, just for an example, just throwing this out, the Seattle Seahawks beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even if the Falcons win, we don't have a chance to win the wild card. We probably lost our chance to get in the wild card because I think we need Seattle to lose both games. However, if Tampa Bay loses to the Aints and we win, we still have a chance because now we just need them to lose again against the Panthers the next week. It could happen. We lost to them, right? And we beat the Saints. So we still have a chance to win NFC South. So our chances are not dead yet, right? Yes, we need other teams to do our dirty work for us because we couldn't do it ourselves. So that's where it stands. We need teams to beat other teams for us, right? But we still got to go handle our own business. Big Me 12 said, I want him to stay. Are you talking about Smith? Who you talking about you want to stay? DQ said, so you're saying we got a chance. We got a chance, man. We got a chance. We got a chance. But no chance in the playoffs. I don't know. See, I kind of agree with Jesse Bates, man. And it depends on the opponents we get in the playoffs, right? So let's just say we win NFC South, right? Hypothetical here. We win NFC South and we play the Cowboys. Everybody like, oh, the Cowboys gonna crush us. Will they? Will they really crush us? Our defense is really good. And they can't stop the run. I think it'll be an interesting game, especially the fact that they will have to come to our building to play us. So I don't think it'd be just like a cakewalk that the Cowboys will come down and stump the sorry Falcons. We've got a top 10 defense and like to run the ball. And with the weakness for the Cowboys that they can't stop the run, right? I think that'd be an interesting game. Just saying. It ain't gonna never happen because Tampa Bay ain't gonna lose their next two games. But hypothetically, if it was to happen, we could host a home playoff game against whoever the fifth seed with. Right now, it's the Cowboys. Terry Fontenot has been through this process before with Sean Payton when he went 7-9-3 straight seasons, and they kept him for the next and turned the team around. That is a great point. You're 100% correct. But I don't think in those 3 seasons is where the fan base was calling for the coach head. Could be wrong because I don't follow the Aints fan base that much. I don't follow their fan base. So but he did have some capital, right? Because he had won the Super Bowl. So he had a little opportunity. He had a chance to actually to kind of start to spiral a little bit. But Arthur Smith don't have that he don't have that leeway because he haven't shown us anything, right? And some people feel like last year he should have been gone, right? So just to expect that with this year, the expectations that we had, offense looked like total crap all season long. Like he don't have any more, no more things to say. Hey, I need another chance, right? He can't really say things like that. I think only thing saving Arthur Smith, in my opinion, because other people have been saying it, is that they screwed up the quarterback position. That's what's going to save him. So, yes, Desmond Ritter's going to end up being the scapegoat. Him and David gone, right? They're going to say Arthur Smith because the quarterback play. It's not like Desmond Ritter went and lit up the everything, and like, man, he had a quarterback, he just can't get it done. No, he didn't have a quarterback, so that's going to save him. I really believe that's going to save him. But let's be honest, he picked the guy. It's not like he inherited. He traded. They signed him. They decided to go out and say he's the. They decided to even not have a quarterback competition in camp, right? He decided to play in one series in the preseason where it was a pick six. An interception in the red zone. All these things happen, right? So it's all his fault in the first place. But I think that's why he's going to be saved. I think that's why he might have opportunity to be back next season. But he got to make some changes, man. It's no other way. If Arthur Blank let Arthur Smith come back and bring back the same thing next year, that would be just crazy, man. It really would. It would be like, wow. So what we expect to change if that was to happen? Can anybody tell me that? What we expect to change if Arthur Blank let Arthur Smith come back with the same old thing? So, guys, thank you guys for coming in. I really enjoyed talking to you guys today about this report that Arthur Blank is considering keeping Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith. Like I said, I don't think Terry Fontenot should even be in the consideration for losing his job, but they did collaborate to bring the roster together. I guess they come as a pair, even though Arthur Smith Terry Fontenot, which is weird. Arthur Smith had done it before. He fired the coach and kept the general manager. So this is not anything new here, that he could do it that way. But these guys have done a good job with the roster in itself, building this roster. So, even if these guys was to get fired, right, they left the new regime in good hands with looking at the cap, looking at the roster build and things like that. So they do get points for that. Unlike our last regime, they left the franchise in shambles. And these guys had to come in and clean it up. So I think that will give some points, in the good for them, and we'll see. But this season has been a really, really, really big disappointment, and I don't know if it's going to be good enough. We just have to see. That's all I have. Thank you guys for coming in. Let's go out and see what franchise quarterback they can bring in. Let's see if we can win these last two games. While it says if Arthur Smith does come back, he will get rid of Rigon, OC, and bring another OC in to set up play calling. But great. Thanks, man. I agree with you 100%. And that's all I have. Thank you guys coming in. I might come back this week and do keys to victory for the Chicago game. Just gotta wait to see, because I'm kind of burnt out from doing it, because I gave a lot of keys this year and we didn't do none of those things, and we lost. So we just have to stand by to see. I might feel good and feel positive about coming back and give some keys this week. Just have to see. That's all I have. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.